Algeria, a beautiful place, is it not? Full of wonderful things, wonderful people, a wonderfully corrupted government. But we'll get to all of that later. All you really need to know about our past is that Algeria was almost entirely Islamic from the moment that the Arabs came down into Africa, and was further cemented by the Ottoman Empire that ruled until 1830. That's when the French came in. Let's take a look. Ah yes, the fly whisk incident of 1827. Let's take a look at it, shall we? You see, from around 1801 to 1815, France was in a bit of a tight spot. Napoleon Bonaparte had just left France in an economic crisis. He had taken millions of francs worth of wheat to feed his armies that were traveling around the globe, from cellars in Algeria. What's more, they could no longer pay off their debt. To fix this, French Minister Pierre de Valle goes to meet with Hussein Dey, the equivalent of the Algerian king, to negotiate a deal.
But please, understand it, Thy Majesty. I apologize with all my soul. I honor you, but the people of Algeria have already paid.
Shut up, you wicked, faithless, idol-worshipping rat! I haven't the slightest of respect for you, and wish to banish you from these premises forever.
You'll regret this decision, Mr. Dey.
And so, with the Valle now supposedly insulted by Dey, France took the opportunity for a venture it yearned for. A mass invasion took place in 1830s, establishing the French Algerian colony. Breaking news! France requires Algerians to give up Islam if they want full rights.
Is this a joke?
After many years, the socio-political tensions between Algerians and Frenchmen peaked.
Even we are drafted into the First World War, the French government makes no effort to support our rights. This is where I, Masali Hajj, will draw the line. It is time to unite with my brethren and go for independence. We shall found the Star of North Africa and advocate for the total independence of Algeria, a constitutional assembly elected through universal suffrage, and immediate assistance to the poor farmers.
And boy, did that escalate quickly. Sally Had's Star of North Africa was eventually replaced by the increasingly radical groups as the French attempted suppression. Many were inspired by the Second World War and its message for democracy. This eventually brought around the National Liberation Front, or the FLN, which would commence terrorist attacks in 1954 with the nationalist slogan, "Islam is our religion, Arabic is our language, and Algeria is our fatherland." The FLN had officially started the Great Algerian War. It may just be me, but the nationalism that inspired the rebels is pretty similar to that of the American Revolution. Let's see what happens next.
Out with the French! We want freedom! Out with the French! We want freedom!
Riots like these would suddenly explode on November 1st, 1954, the day that would be one day dubbed Bloody All Saints' Day. Thousands of French would be killed in exchange for tens of thousands of Muslims. After a few years of struggling, the French decided that they were done with the light military force. In 1954, they brought in General Lacoste, the big guns. Lacoste, get over to Algeria and kick them out.
Alright. Send down 400,000 soldiers with order to kill each and every single one of those little emmerdeurs. And when their riots, just open fire into the thick of them. I'll take care of that useless Algerian assembly that doesn't do anything anyway.
So basically turn it into a military governed authoritarian society that leaves everyone in constant fear?
Yep, let's get rid of those Sejans-là.
This had a pretty negative effect on the revolutionaries' progress. With the pressure rising on the revolution, radicalism shot through the roof. This became clear throughout the fateful months between June 1956 and March 1957, in what would be dubbed as the Battle of Algiers. Initiated as an attempt to gain military control, brutally callous bombings of towns left remains of children in the street. Does it remind you of anyone? Rubbish rat! Here's a completely school-appropriate rendition of what happened. Charge!
That's what your mom said when she went to the fridge.
Dude, that's not cool. Like, sure, we can kill them, but that's too far. Yeah, man, what was that for? You just crossed the line, man.
Shoot.
If that's the kind of stuff that we're doing, I'm out. Same! We'll get you for this. These overly radical movements led to two major setbacks. The FLN was thrown askew by a loss of support from its mostly moderate followers, and the French reacted brutally. When Jacques Mazur took over as a general, torture, arson, and brutality were all common. The deal, however, was not yet sealed for the French either.
Darling, I can't do this no more.
Why is that?
The horrors in the sea out there. My entire regiment was blown to bits.
Well, it's true that half of our armed forces deployed in the middle of nowhere while the economy sits in the ditch. We may want to reconsider the war.
This country's politics are a friggin' joke. We're literally changing leadership like 20 times.
We'll just have to see. I don't support this war anymore.
Likewise, just like I said, baby. I don't feel this is no good anymore. As Prime Minister, not this dysfunctional government.
Alright, we'll bring him in. You have all raised enough of a fuss. I'm warning you, though. De Gaulle doesn't seem too sure about keeping Algeria.
What?
Don't miss us when we leave.
Whatever.
Well, truth be told, it looks like they should have heeded to that advice. De Gaulle was an avid nationalist, but he did not believe it to be economically suitable to keep Algeria as a colony. Moreover, the simple fact is that the French colonists were no longer safe. The issue had just become political. From late 1958 to 1961, the group had decided to seek some support from its various international connections. Here in the United Nations, there were a similar debate regarding the issue, and most countries supported Algeria's independence. The UN eventually concluded in the later 1950s that France is better suited to give up the territory. With its military losing morale, the UN applying pressure, and riots spreading to France, Charles de Gaulle was in a pinch. Should he give Algeria its independence and risk the rage of French settlers who would lose their homes? He clearly communicated the decision on a fateful presidential address on September 12, 1959.
For Algeria, I deem it necessary that recourse to self-determination be here and now complained. Now, that means, for your kids at home, that I am willing to let Algeria make its own political choices. And I furthermore offer secession, where some believe independence would be found. France would leave the Algerians who had expressed their wish to become separated from her.
Oh no, I've lost my home, my life, my land, and my fortune.
Too bad for you, my dear friend.
So, by 1960, Algeria had chosen independence. It took the FLN some negotiating with Evian, but a deal was settled in 1962. This, of course, brought mass rioting and violence for those who did not wish to lose Algeria. Although they killed thousands of people in both countries, the efforts were in vain. July 5th, 1962 marked the day of independence for Algeria, after almost a tenth of which from the FLN during religious conflicts, while only 18,000 French died. 1 million French colonists fled for their lives in the hurried exodus, while former cooperative Muslims, dubbed Harkis, were murdered in the hundreds of thousands. This is an outrage! France is humiliated by this tremendous loss of territory, and it's all Egypt's fault. We should have never lost those Morocco and Tunisia autocrats.
Wait, what?
Let's start the Egypt Canal crisis with Britain and invade Egypt. Now for what happened to us, Algeria.
We've won. Indeed. It looks like many colonial revolutions have erupted around the world because of our success. I can't wait to see our bright economic future and political brightness. Yes, quite. Yeah, I'm not also surprised that, to me, Ahmed Ben Bella has gotten elected as the president for our democracy, in which we shall vote and be in universal suffrage.
Well, that's pretty much the gist of it. I got here because of a very harsh civil war in the 1990s that led to an authoritarian government. I hope you all learned some valuable information today. Please, go home and tell your parents about us. We'll appreciate it. Bye now. Bye.